How are y'all?
Good.
Good. Hey, I'm excited to continue the series today. Last week we started it, and we get to keep going. We got a couple more weeks after this, and I want to challenge you to be here for all of them. And if you miss one, go online and watch the other ones. I mean, I'm more exciting in person than on camera, but I don't even know how exciting I am in person. So y'all just try to stay awake, and we'll get through this today, okay? Y'all, see, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, Michelle. Good. All right. So, hey, I really believe that this series has so much potential to help you make some positive changes in your life as we're learning how to manage the resources God has already given us. And we learn today, especially, we're going to learn how to kind of break free from some of the bondage of debt and create some freedom that He wants for us. But here's the key. You have to allow it to. What does that mean? Well, you have to allow it. You have to hear it. Because, see, when it comes to our money and it comes to, how it affects our lives, we don't like to make changes. Who loves being on a budget? Exactly. Nobody does, right? We don't like people to tell us what to do with our money, right? And sometimes, we just start doing it and we start living and we don't really pay attention to what's going on. But here's what I want for all of us. I want all of us to experience this life that's free from the bondage and the oppression of debt. Amen? Amen. Right. It's awful, right? And so we're doing this series, and last week we talked about less is more. Today we're going to talk about stress is bad. Next week is Getting Good, and then the last week is Tomorrow Matters. And these are very simple, and I want us to remember them and have them ingrained in our minds. So let's say them together. You ready? Less is more, stress is bad, giving is good, tomorrow matters. That was horrible, so we're doing it again. Less is more, stress is bad, giving is good, tomorrow matters. One more time. Less is more, stress is bad, giving is good, tomorrow matters. Even an old dog can learn a new trick and memorize that. Amen? All right. Y'all gonna have to wake up. I'm gonna make you do jumping jacks. Anyway, all right. So as we're going through this, there's kind of this underlying theme and this underlying premise of how money can either help you in life or it can be a detriment to your life. And I just want to know, have any of you ever caught yourself saying these before? Now you got to be honest with me, okay? Now, I want you to reach deep down and be honest in your response. Okay, has anyone ever said this? This debt has made my life so easy. No? Okay, well, let me try this one. I love paying bills and being broke. No? How about my marriage is better because of debt? No? Okay, well, maybe this one. Every night I pray and thank God for the amount of debt that I'm in. Nobody says that, right? But you probably have said these before, right? I wish I could give more to help those in need, but I just can't. I wish one of us could stay home with the kids, but we can't afford it. Or I wish we didn't fight over every expenditure and bill. Or I wish we could make more family memories and travel a little bit. Or I would start tithing, but I just can't afford it. Any of those sound familiar? Yeah, I've been there too. We've all been there. See, here's the problem. We go through high school. How many of you took a financial management class in high school? No, you didn't. They didn't even show you how to keep a checkbook. Most of us don't even know what a checkbook is. Exactly. So you go through college, you go through life, and you just start doing and you start living, and you don't really sit back and truly grasp how suffocating debt can be until it's too late. Until it starts feeding on you and feeding on us. See, here's the deal. Financial debt feeds stress. And today we're talking about how stress is bad. And financial debt is one of the number one marriage killers in America, outside of infidelity. It hurts. It's the silent cancer of marriages and families, careers, and your personal health. You know, if you keep staying in stress and wired up about debt and all the things that you're worrying about, it's going to affect you. Your blood pressure is going to go up. Your health is going to decline. Right? All that stuff matters. And yet we consistently allow it to grow and take over our lives. My debt spiral began in college. See, when I was 18, they would show up on your college campus and give you credit cards. I mean, just hand them out like they're candy at Halloween. Oh, here's you a new Capital One credit card with $300 credit. Man, you thought you was rich. You were like, yes, I got some credit on my credit card. Because you know why they did that? Because they know your first credit card is who you're going to be the most loyal to. Your first one will be the last one you cancel. Because they'll just keep increasing your debt limit. Well, sure enough, that's what happened. I got up to like $299, and I get a letter in the mail. We've increased your credit limit to $1,000. Woo! Hey guys, let's go bowling. Because you know you're 18, and you're like, this money's free. And it's not. And then, guess what happened? Anybody remember the Gateway computers that look like cows in a box? Yeah. It was a shiny new toy. And see, I grew up in a generation you actually had to go to the library or the computer lab to use a computer. And then I left for summer and came back to college and everybody had a desktop. I mean, literally, it was that fast. Because Gateway came on the scene and they said, hey, we'll give you a low monthly payment for your computer. So I didn't just get a desktop. I got a laptop. I got the best laptop. Because I was only going to pay a little bit a month for it. I mean, regardless of the fact that it was 4 gigs. We have more than that in our Apple Watches today. Okay, all right. It was 4 gigs, and it was $3,000. But I could do my homework anywhere. Like that really mattered. And I could make the payments. See, here's what I like to call this debt spiral. And I use this analogy with so many other things. I call it feeding the baby tiger. Whatever you feed it is what it's going to want. It's going to grow. It's going to get bigger. And it's going to feed. You can't feed a baby tiger steak for its whole life and decide halfway through you're going to start feeding it vegetables. It won't work. And at some point, this cute little baby tiger, this cute little baby $300 credit card, this cute little computer becomes huge. And then it owns you. And that's what feeding the tiger is. See, what happens is you have this little bit of debt when you come out of college because they gave you a little bit here or there. Or when you come out of high school and you start working. And then you have a thing called rent. Yeah. Or a mortgage. And then you have car payments. Because you've got to have a new car. You got to, right? And then you have gas, you have utilities, and you have to buy tires. I hate buying tires. I hate buying toilet paper. But you got to have them. Right? We know if you don't buy toilet paper, we know. And yet you still want to have fun, right? You still want to have fun. And that costs money too. Because you've got to have a life. So life starts catching up and there's not enough money and you keep feeding the tiger. And then I quickly realized that I was working just to pay the bills. Whoever's been there before, be honest. Who's working every week just to pay the bills? You're not alone. You're in there with 80% of Americans, if not 90%. We're 2 weeks away from not being able to afford anything, to being out on the street. Because we fed the tiger way too long. And I quickly realized that I had made myself a slave to the debt. A slave. I felt hopeless. I felt trapped. It owned me. See, borrower is slave to the lender. Say that with me. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Borrower is slave to the lender. What does a slave feel like? Broken, helpless, controlled. Every move that's made has to be approved. by the person that enslaves them. See, debt begins to own you. It owns how you live, how you think. It owns your life perspective. And it begins to destroy hope. That's what debt does. Can we all admit today that debt is an enemy? Amen? Debt is an enemy. King Solomon, one of the wisest rulers to ever walk on the world, said, this is his concept of debt, and this is where this statement comes from, Proverbs 22:7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is what? Slave to the lender. Slave to the lender. See, and when our hope decreases, when our hope is broken, because we're entrapped and we're suffocating in stress, in debt, the stress starts to increase because you're afraid and you're scared. Stress is bad. And the only way to decrease that financial stress is to do what? Remove the debt. Is to fight back. And I know you're sitting there going, oh, Pastor, that's easier said than done. Yep, it is. And I totally agree. But with God's help, you can start climbing out of the debt. I found myself in that position, and I prayed. I said, God, give me other alternatives, other ways to make an income and to start pushing back against the debt. And he opened the doors for me, and he gave me some different ways to do that. And he can do that for you too. But it's not just finding additional income, it's also cutting back. You gotta want it. You gotta fight for it. You see, God gives freedom, and his plan for your life does not include being a slave to debt. Never has it ever included that. In fact, the reason he sent Jesus is so you aren't a slave to your sin anymore, and that you are set free. He hates the fact that money controls our lives and it controls our thoughts. Imagine what your life would be like if the stress of debt was completely removed. Completely removed. Now, some of y'all are like, oh man, I'm going to get me a boat. Oh, that was me. I'm sorry. Sorry. We all struggle with it, but just think for a minute. When something went wrong, you wouldn't freak out. You'd be like, okay, well, we just got to fix it. We're going to have to wait. We're going to have to figure out how you're going to make ends meet so that you can fix a leak or something. Right? But it starts with being faithful with what you have. If you're faithful with what you have, God sees that, and he sees that you're honoring him with your life. And so Jesus even told us, whoever is faithful with little, God will trust with more. So if you wonder why you may be caught in debt to the point that you can't breathe, let me ask you, are you being faithful with the little? It's a tough question. This is going to be a tough day to deal with, because it makes us question how we spend our money. It makes us question the decisions that we make. And when we live with integrity and we're good with the little and what God has already given us, we begin to actually worship him with our life. We begin to serve him and honor him and please him, because we're being good stewards of everything he's given us. Not just the money, but the time and the talent that he's blessed you with, the whole aspect of it. Because we understand that we don't own it, and we were given it to steward, to glorify his kingdom, and to use for his kingdom. See, we can consume less and give more when we change our attitude and we begin to fight our way out of debt. We begin to become a bigger tool and a bigger asset to the kingdom, because we're not chained down by the slavery and the oppression of debt. So on the practical side, if the practical side doesn't prompt you to get out of debt, at least listen to the spiritual side of God saying, you are not created to be a slave to the lender. And get mad at the fact that some business, some corporation somewhere owns you. I don't like that. Y'all like that? I don't. But buddy, they sold it to us, didn't they? And we bit that line and that hook and that big old juicy worm. Man, they reeled us in, didn't they? Oh, 0 interest for 12 months. 25% after 12 months. Right? Come on now. Y'all know you've all fallen, victim to it. I have too. Right? So I can give you a lot of practical tips to help you get out of debt, but here's the bottom line. If your heart is not in it, and your heart is not aligned to get out of debt, it doesn't matter what tool you use, you're going to end up exactly where you are right now. You might fight your way out, and then you hold on to a card or two just in case. I've done it. Who's done that before? You've paid off a card, and you held on to it just in case, and then what happens next? Something comes up, and then you're like, oh, well, we do have this card. Yeah, we can go out of town. Let's just put it on that. You didn't get anywhere, did you? You didn't get anywhere. So today I'm going to give you 3 prayers to help align your heart to get you out of debt. Because, let's be honest, if this isn't in it, then it ain't going to happen. Okay? So the first one is, God, give me self-control. That's a big one, right? That's a big one. Here's why this is so important. Look at Proverbs 25:28. Like a city whose walls are broken down is a person who lacks what? Self-control. When your walls are down, you're vulnerable to attack. You can't even have a crack in the wall when it comes to climbing out of debt. You can't even have one weak area. You have got to lock it down. You know who finds cracks in your walls? Little kids. Little kids can find a crack anywhere. And inside, you know how they are. They'll find a way to annoy you. They'll find a way to get you to buy something. Something like that. But here's the deal. We all have a little kid inside us. That little 2-year-old that says, I want it. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I want it. Oh, that looks good. Whatever it is, whether it's a boat or whatever, right? We all have it. When I see a new, iPhone X coming out, woo, it recognizes my face. I have extended family that don't recognize my face. The iPhone does. It loves me more. It's coming. And I'm like a little 2-year-old saying, I got to have it. I want it. Right? You know what else I love? And one person leaves it on just to aggravate me. But when you get new electronic, you peel the plastic off? I love it. I love the smell of it. You know why? Because it's brand new. And ain't nobody touched underneath that plastic. That electronic's going to work perfectly. I have a friend that has it on his TV, and every time I go in the office, I want to peel it off. And he gets mad at me, and he's laughing right now. He gets mad at me, and he says, no, I'm not going to peel it off. He knows I want to peel it off. He's afraid at the end. I want to grab it, peel it off. We all have these little things. How about good food? Who likes to go out to eat? Yes! Good food! There's this place that has 2-inch thick bacon. I don't know what to do with it. I've already eaten there 3 times. 3 times. My heart screams when I drive by, like, please don't. I don't care. I want the bacon and the hot and now donuts and yummy food and as seen on TV commercials. The most brilliant people in the world have been stuff on as seen on TV. The little gloves that peel a whole potato, I don't need it. I don't even cook. But I want it. I bought one of those big muffin things that's a cake and it looks like a big muffin. Yeah, we used that one time. But I had it. Yesterday, let me tell you, we all had this 2-year-old in house. Yesterday, I was at PetSmart, or maybe it was the day before yesterday, and there was a puppy English bulldog. Skin and rolls for days. I just did this, and it was like this much skin just pulls off of it. Right? I texted my wife, and I was like, look. And I was like, it's only $3,500. She said, it's so cute. I said, my bank account's cuter. We all have this little kid inside of us that needs to be put in time out. It's got to be put in time out. If you want to make a difference, you got to take that little 2-year-old and you got to spank its tail and you got to sit over there on the corner and say, "You're in time out. You're not telling me what to buy anymore." And it's hard. Ladies, you know you do it. Don't laugh at me. Okay, it's a little here and a little there. BOGOs, better be gone. Those things, just because it has the sign on it that says BOGO, don't mean you gotta have it. We don't need pistachios. But just buy one, get one free. That's a deal. Or it's on clearance, and this was on clearance. And if you bought together, you actually save money than buying two separate, or you could just buy one and been cheaper anyway. See, ladies like the nickel and dime, nickel and dime, nickel and dime, and if you have a whole boat full of nickel and dimes, guess what? It sinks. Guys, we just blow the whole boat up. We don't nickel and dime nothing, do we? We don't do. You go out and you get some fishing gear, and you just like, "Oh man, this bait's awesome." You know what would look good with this? A new boat. Well, if I got a new boat, I gotta have a new truck to pull it. We just blow the whole boat up. We just go all in. We don't go halfway with this nickel and dime stuff. We just like to get it all. Like, I want a Miss Pac-Man arcade machine in Galaga for my man cave. It ain't good enough just to get the $20 remote that's got like 400 games built in, just plug it into your TV, but I want the stand-up. See, we just go all out, guys. And we have to ask God, and we have to beg God, "God, give me self-control. My life does not consist of the abundance of things." We have to learn how to say this 2-letter word that is so powerful, that is so empowering, but yet so difficult to say, and it's no. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. No. Maybe. I knew there was always one. I knew there was always one. Guys, you say no today so you can say yes later. Say no today so you can say yes later. You want a better life later? Say no today. Tell that little kid that's inside of you, no more fancy nails. How many guys have said, "Hey, did you see that girl over there with those nails? She is smoking hot. Did you see? I wonder if those nails are real or fake." There ain't one guy ever noticed your fingernails. When you get debt free, you get your nails done every single week. But it ain't important right now, is it? No guy's ever looked and said, "Woo, look at them nails." Your $5 coffee. You don't have to have it. I know that the caffeine inside of you says that you do, but you really don't. You can get cheap coffee. It does the same thing. It don't taste as good, but if you close your eyes and think about the money you're saving, it might. It might. That breakfast pizza in QT. Dear God, give me self-control. It's got gravy on it. Gravy. Maybe it's golf or whatever it is. You got to learn to say no. No. Maybe it's taking your lunch to work and having a sandwich. I was helping this guy do something. He's about 10 years younger than me, and he was barely making it financially, and he wanted me to help him like with a budget. Now look, I don't follow a budget a lot of times. I get it, it's hard, but I know how to make one. I'm not a financial expert, but I know what to do. I don't follow it sometimes. So I was helping him make a budget, and I quickly realized that barely making a house mortgage payment, but spending $50 to $75 a week on lunch. And I said, why do you need to spend this much on lunch every day? Well, all the guys go out to eat, and if I don't go, if I kind of feel like I'm not being a part of the team, I'm being left out. you know, and I don't want to think I'm weird or something or can't afford it. So you want to barely make your house payment and live what we call house poor, where you can't do anything, instead of having an extra $250, $300, $350 a month. Well, I don't want to be weird. Be weird. Be weird and be free, or be normal like everybody else and be trapped like everybody else. If you live, Dave Ramsey, one of his greatest quotes ever, if you live like no one else, you can live like no one else. Let that sit in for a minute. If you live today like no one else, you can live later like no one else. Whatever it is that 2-year-old inside of you is screaming, shut him or her up and put him over in the corner. Mine's a little girl, because I'm real sensitive and say yes. So that's what I mean. So let's say it with me. Let's say no and pray. Let's say, God, give me self-control. You ready? 1, 2, 3. God, give me self-control. The second prayer to pray when you're pursuing a debt-free life is, God, give me understanding. You know, sometimes we just don't think. We don't think of what we're doing. It's not that we're tempted. We just don't think. Right? Sometimes we want to save money. We just get caught up in life, and it's immediate gratification. And it makes life easier and all this kind of stuff. Here's a great example. When you go out to eat at a restaurant, you're paying $2.50 to $3 for a soft drink. I got a family of 5. That's $15 for soft drinks or tea or whatever. I could buy 15 2 liters of that same drink at the dollar store. 15! That lasts a long time. But yet I'm just buying a little cup. My kids hate it, but we'll sit down and Allison will start the trend. We're having water. Oh, I'm going to die because the food doesn't taste as good with water. And I'm the same way. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want water. If you don't want it, go buy your $1 2-liter, take it into the restaurant and order a cup of ice. Be weird. It's okay. It's okay. Hosea speaks. Hosea, bring the 2-liter. Hosea speaks into our self-destruction with this. He said, this people, 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We can loosely apply this to our financial decisions at times. Let me ask you something. When you're making a major purchase, have you ever found yourself asking these questions? Okay, well, how much is it down? How much is it a month? Right? Haven't we all asked that before? Just tell me how much you got to bring to the table and how much is it a month. Not many of us sit down and say, tell me what the real cost is. I don't care what the monthly cost is. I don't care how much you got to bring. Tell me what the real cost of this is. We don't. We think about, hey, this is what I can afford month to month. So let's do a little math and let's discover just really quick how compounding interest can hurt you or help you. Okay, so let's just take, for example, $16,000. Let's say you got $16,000 in debt. Okay, on a credit card, for example, and you're paying $250 a month at 19% interest. How long do you think it'll take you to pay that off? Yes.
30 years.
Close?
20.
Nope.
40.
40 years. 40 years, and you will pay $1.5 million. $105,000 in interest. $105,000 in interest for that $16,000. And $250 a month is tough, isn't it? That's a tough payment. Well, let's take that $16,000 and let's invest it. Let's not add a dime to it. Let's just take that $16,000, drop it right into an interest-bearing account. Let's say you get 12% on it. Okay? That's pretty good. Okay? Let's say you don't even touch it for 40 years. You will have $1.5 million. Boy, that changes things, don't it?
We have to petition God on a regular basis for wisdom and understanding. Not so that we can be rich. Not so, folks, if you're living in America and you got a house to live in and you got a car to drive, you are in the top 85% of the world at rich. Very blessed that we don't have to worry about where we get our food tomorrow. The fact that you can go get a pack of bologna and have fried bologna sandwiches, which is awesome.
And a 2-liter Mountain Dew.
And a 2-liter Mountain Dew. You can get a week's worth of food for under, what, $7? Maybe less at the dollar store. If you'll drink Mountain Thunder. You know, it's just, don't act like you're too good for it. There's people in the world that dig through garbage to find food. We have to beg God to give us wisdom and to be smarter and to start looking at what we have to be kingdom focused with our money. We don't try to make money to be rich. We have more money to be used by God and to be a tool for His kingdom. That's what we're giving it for. We're giving it to be a help to the kingdom, a platform to increase our relationship with Jesus. Because see, when you're debt free and you have those chains off of you, you'll have more opportunities to give and to help people and to see God move in their life, because you have more resources and He trusts you with more opportunities because you've been a good steward of what He's already given you. It makes sense. It's common sense. That's how God works. We have to consume less and give more, because when we give more, we grow more. When we give more to the kingdom, when we give more of ourselves in all areas of our life, we grow closer to Jesus and we help people rise up and we help people reach their potential and come to know Jesus. All right? So we pray and ask God for self-control to give you understanding. The last thing you got to pray is, God, give me a plan. We can sit back and talk about being debt-free all we want to, but if you ain't got a plan, you ain't doing jack squat. You just throwing out lip service to make you or your spouse feel better about, oh, we're going to be debt-free. Listen, that's hogwash unless you got a plan. Hogwash. Only in South Carolina can you use the word hogwash. Action requires a plan. Look at Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead to, as surely as haste leads to, woo. Folks, you can wander into debt, but you will not wander out of it. You can stumble into debt, but you will not stumble out of it. You can make mistakes that got you into debt. Some not even your fault, but the mistakes will not bring you out of it. You have to have a plan. You have to be diligent, right? Plans of the diligent lead to profit. Create an emergency fund of at least $1,000. This is what Financial Peace teaches you. Sell everything. Sell everything, because then when an emergency comes up, you're not charging it again. Create that $1,000 buffer. Right? I asked you to get rid of 100 things last week when we talked about less is more. Sell those 1,000 things that I'm telling you to get rid of. Somebody asked me, do pens count? No. They do not count. You cannot sell a pen to nobody. Get rid of stuff. Sell it. Create this buffer zone that you need. Start the snowball. The snowball means start with the lowest payment and attack it, and then take that money that you have, go to the next one, and keep going, and then go to the next one. If you've got to get another little side job, find one. I know it's hard. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to be free and away from the slavery in your life? See, you honor God when you plan your work and you work your plan to become free of the slavery of debt. If you want God to help you, though, if you want Him, you better do it God's way. You better do it God's way. You better pray first, ask for strength. You better ask Him to give you self-control. You better ask Him to give you wisdom. Right? And you better ask Him to keep you on your plan and to make it clear. The second thing you better do, you better tithe at the top. The top of my budget, tithe. That's where it's at. Because my God provides everything for me. How arrogant would it be for me to ask Him for help if I'm not doing my part? How arrogant would it be for me to expect Him to help me when I give nothing back to the kingdom? I know you don't want to hear that. Some people don't. Some people are like, amen. But some people are like, you know what? I don't tithe because I can't afford it. You can't afford not to. You want God's help? I'm not saying you have to buy God's help. I'm just saying you better put Him at the top of your priority list, or you're going to be right back where you are. And you better figure out what that means. For me, it is being diligent and being honorable with my money and putting it there. And tithing first. You better figure out what that means to you. That's what it means to me, is being obedient. Okay? You got to reduce the wants and focus on the needs, because while less is more. Remember, we talked about this last week, the richest people are not those who have the most. It's those that need the least. That's the richest people. We would rather have one handful and have tranquility than have two handfuls and live in chaos and not be able to do anything for yourself or anybody. You're just locked and you can't do anything because you're holding on to everything. You were created to be used by God. You were created not to be a slave, not to live hopelessly and have the stress of financial debt pressing in on you. I've been there. I am climbing out myself. I am working hard myself. I know what it means to be there, but the only way to reduce it is to work harder. The only way is to be smarter. The only way is to put God first. The only way is to focus and be laser-like, so that you can do more later. Say no today so you can say yes to later. That type of stress and financial bondage is strong, and it takes drastic, life-changing, just radical attitude and change to make it work. What are you willing to do to be free? Don't let it own you. Don't be a slave and in bondage to your debt. God did not create you for that. It is such a powerful thing. Money can be so evil, and it can be so great for the kingdom. The question is, how are we going to use it? How are you going to use it? How is your mind and your heart going to be synced together to do it for the kingdom? Your relationship with Jesus, your viewpoint of God, how He provides for you, is all reflected in how you manage the resources He has already given you. Is it yours or is it His? With your own life, you are in bondage to sin. You have been robbed of an eternity with Jesus because of sin. And the only way to have this eternity in paradise is to give your life to the one who gave His life for you, that paid the ransom for your debt. The one that died on the cross, defeated death, rose on the third day. He paid it for you, folks. He removed your debt so that you can live free from that sin. And yet, so many people choose not to accept Jesus into their life for pride, whatever it is. Today, don't leave here not knowing if Jesus is your Savior. Not knowing if you've ever really truly given your life to Him. So today I want to ask you to bow your head, close your eyes. And the first thing we're going to do is, if you feel that you've never given your life completely to Jesus, you've never surrendered all of who you are and said, God, I know that I'm a sinner. Please forgive me. I believe in your Son, Jesus. I believe He died on the cross, rose from the grave for my sin. He paid the debt for my sin. And you've never asked for forgiveness and asked for Jesus to come into your heart and be a part of your life, then I want to give you that opportunity today. Just say that prayer with me. Dear God, I know I'm a sinner. I know that I'm far from you. Please forgive me. for my sin. I believe that Jesus died on the cross. I believe He rose on the third day. And I believe that His death and resurrection has set me free and has forgiven my sin. I want to be just like Him. Please come into my life and change me. If you've done that for the first time today, just look up at me, raise your hand, do something. We make eye contact. Thank you. You don't have to live in the bondage of sin. You don't have to live in the bondage of debt. You can be set free just like Jesus has set you free. Today, if you're struggling with debt, I just want to pray with you. I've been there. I'm there now. I'm climbing out. It takes hard work. It takes a mindset. And it takes some sacrifice. So let me just pray this with you. Dear God, give us self-control. God, help us say no to our inner desires, the ones that don't please the kingdom, that don't honor you with what we have. God, give us self-control. God, give us understanding to sit back and think of how we're using your resources, the ones that you've trusted us with. And God, give us a plan. Help us stick to it. Help us become more by consuming less and by giving more. Lord, use us. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's stand and worship.